Hello and welcome to another knitting pod. I am Lena and welcome to Boulder. Boulder in the fall. It is finally cool here. Today it's possibly even cold. I got to wear a winter hat this morning when I was walking my dogs. So I am thrilled. I am thrilled to finally be getting a blast of cold. Kind of late for us here. I don't know about how you guys are faring wherever you are. It is the end of October here, and it has definitely been a balmier October than we normally have. And I've tried to enjoy it. I've tried to soak up knitting on the patio, but to me, it is time for some cold weather. This morning I was feeling so cozy and I was dying to light a candle because normally I don't like candles in the warmer months. It just feels incongruous in some way. It just doesn't feel cozy enough to light candles, but this morning it definitely was. And all the candles that I had out were burned out. And so had my fingers crossed and I went to the cabinet to see if I had any new candles, and lo and behold, I found 3 brand new candles from my favorite brand, completely brand new in the box still. And it was one of those tiny, like, bursts of joy moments that I literally was like thanking my past self because I have zero idea when I even bought those, but it must have been like almost a year ago. And I was just thrilled. It felt like a little Friday gift. So you can see it burning back there. It smells so lovely. It's called cashmere, so I definitely think it's appropriate. Not that I'm wearing cashmere. Actually, it's all coming full circle, y'all. This is the Big Cozy Cardi by Andrea Mowry, and this shawl collar is Moondrake's Fua Fua, and it actually does have some cashmere in it. I can't remember the composition. I wish, again, I say this a lot, but I wish you could reach through the screen and feel it. It is such a gloriously soft, fluffy yarn that has more substance than like a mohair. I have a mohair over here, but I'm not going to bring it over here to show you. But it definitely, as you can see, it has like more body and weight. This is one strand held single, and I love it. I love this yarn. It's on the pricier side, obviously, but each skein comes with a decent amount of yardage. I have another skein that I haven't used in this electric orchid color, just a single skein that I'm like saving. Sorry, my coffee machine is rinsing itself out, so I apologize for that sound. But anyway, sorry, my voice is a little scratchy this morning. I like this sweater. It's the sweater I reach for if it's cold outside and I'm gonna just hang out at home, because I've shown you guys this. This was actually my very first podcast. I was wearing this and I had just finished this, which was not quite a year ago yet, but maybe 10 months ago. The pros, it's very cozy, it's giant and oversized. Both are like my 100% like go-to aesthetic, oversized and cozy. However, if you are moving around, it is very unstructured. It doesn't sit well on the body, like meaning it doesn't stay. Like even as you see here, I will end up having to kind of fuss with it. So it's a bit of a fussy garment. And as it's made in a fingering weight and it is big and cozy, it's a lot of knitting. But if that's your vibe, I think I'm not the only one that probably thinks that. Andrea Mowry, there's a couple of cardigans by her that don't have like a traditional structure that creates like a more stable shoulder. This is one of those. I like it. It's honestly more like a shawl with sleeves. And you can see like it's really a giant triangle that you seam together and then you add the cuffs. There's no like proper sleeve. So anyway, you've seen it before if you've watched my channel, but I did want to just quickly recap what it is. So we've got the big cozy cardi, are a really lovely candle, some coffee in my favorite mug, and let's talk about what's on my needles. Um, I guess I feel like it's been a minute since I'd recorded because I recorded last week on a Wednesday, but I didn't post till Friday, and now it's Friday. So it feels like it's been a long time since I was with you guys. So forgive any awkward blundering around that I might have. We went to the mountains last weekend because it was my kids' fall break. As I said last week, I think it's my favorite holiday that they get because not every school in this region gets that break, so the mountains are extremely quiet. Normally, when we go up to the mountains, it's very busy and you get a lot of kind of congestion sometimes in the small towns up there. But at this time of year, it's so quiet and it's mostly just locals, and it was so lovely. Nobody's out on the trails. It's still hiking weather, but it's cool. It was truly beautiful. I'll chat about that more at the end, possibly. But my point is, the first project I'm going to just give you a update on, is the only one I didn't take to the mountains, and that is the heirloom quilt cardigan, rather, by Katrin Seeberger. Here are my completed blocks. I believe I have 9 or 10. I started one yesterday, and it was the first one where I accidentally messed up somewhere and had to rip it back. And I think I had done like 6 rows. But that's the thing about this project is the blocks are so small that even when you make a mistake and have to rip out, it's not a big deal. I think mine is the size 2. There's 3 sizes and they're all very oversized. But this is 36 stitches. Here's a little example. I don't know if I showed you this one last week. I honestly don't remember. And I think I only have, I guess I have 3 blocks that maybe I didn't show you last week because they're unblocked. It's like you can tell the difference. This is pre-blocking and this is post-blocking. And I don't have to tell you what a difference that makes. I mean, even if you don't knit, you can see what a difference that makes. Like how smoothed out the tension is, how everything just relaxes. But I did want to update you on the new color combos. I told you guys last week how much fun it is to get to grab different balls to go together and watch it knit up so quickly. I have found that I usually can finish 1 block a day, and I knit on all sorts of other projects too. But I don't knit one every day. I didn't take this to the mountains. To me, I've seen some people on their Ravelry projects say that they thought it was a great travel project. I don't find that, just because you've got several balls of yarn and you're constantly flipping back and forth since it's color work flat. I don't find that it's the best travel project. So that's just my personal opinion. So I did not take it to the mountains. Like, I'll show you what I carried around in. I have this really cute, tote that I got from a local yarn shop a couple of years ago, and I really like it. It's very structured, so it holds everything nicely in my house. And then it's got these removable Velcro separations, and I can it's the perfect bin for this project, because I have so many balls of yarn that I am working with. And then I also have my little Coco Knits folio, or whatever you might want to call it. The brand of this is Ah Bright. It's got some little pockets that I can keep my stuff in. I love this tote. I really do. So again, this was not going to make it up to the mountains with me because we had so much stuff as it was. So anyway, these are my new squares. I need to wet block them. And I have to say, you guys, not only does wet blocking smooth everything out, but the feel, like, I wish you could feel the difference between this and this. I continue to be obsessed with this yarn. It is so lovely to work with, and it's just beautiful. I mean, look how beautiful these colors are. And I have to say that, like, when once it's wet blocked, like the feeling of this non-superwash yarn, there's such a lightness to it. And that is what, like, truly I have fallen in love with non-superwash yarn over superwash yarn, because superwash yarn has this heaviness to it. And sometimes that's nice, like in a blanket maybe, but this, it feels, I know it's going to sound absurd, but it reminds me of a little baby's head, like a 4-month-old baby has this like fleecy layer of downy hair that is almost like there's a fleeciness to it, and like you touch it and it's just like almost bouncy and soft. Oh my gosh, this reminds me of a baby's hair. If you're not with me on the analogy, I totally understand. I sound kind of cuckoo, but that's what I always think of. Like, I just feel like it just has that baby's head feeling. And I don't know, it's just a very special yarn I will use for everything possible. You have to, I suppose, like a tweedy look. And I do. I mean, it has to match the project, but I really like it. I love this color combination too. This is the colorway Stone, and this is Barn Red, I believe. And I just think it looks really pretty. One thing I've noticed as I'm working, so when I picked the colors off of Wool & Company, I just literally clicked, I believe, like 7 colors that I loved, and I added them to my cart. And then I looked at the cart and I thought all the colors went together, and I didn't overthink it, and I just pressed purchase. And then my sweet friend Jessica also donated some of her skeins for me to use, and a lot of them really do go beautifully. Like, I think this is one of hers, and then this is one that I purchased. So you can see how tonally similar. So I'm able to draw from a lot of yarn. I feel very lucky because I did not buy all this yarn. She gave me, this color has turned into one of my absolute favorites. And here's what I will give you a hot tip if you are keen on doing this project. A lot of times when we have multicolored projects, we are working with them in kind of like I'm trying to think if this is accurate. Like, sometimes we're blending them or what have you. Like in a Stephen West project, because he uses lots of colors, you don't necessarily need to have a ton of contrast in your color palette. But in this project, because you are making these very structured graphic squares, it's kind of nice to think about picking your colors in groups. So like group A would be background colors that you like, and group B would be good contrasting colors that aren't too blendy. And I think I would have chosen a little differently if I had thought about it that way, because I really do like the crisper contrast rather than like this as a blendier square. Here's another example of that right here. Crisper contrast, blendier square. So I guess it's really just what appeals to you. And maybe at the end, I really think like it looks nice to have some of both, but I wish I had gotten one more deeper color. So like the only really deep colors I have are these. And I love the look of like, do you see how fussy this cardigan is? You're seeing it in action. Like, I like this look of like a lighter color with a really deep color. And they had a couple of beautiful, deep chocolatey browns. I was almost tempted. I literally had actually added some to my cart on Wool & Company to order, but then I was actually thinking it's a little too late, because I do like the look in this cardigan of cohesiveness. And if you have too many colors, it's gonna look a little chaotic. And I think I have like 6 or 7 colors that I'm working with, and keeping it a little bit tighter in the color palette will give it overall a more cohesive look at the end of the day. I hope that makes sense. I really love how it's coming together. The joy has been real. I couldn't wait to get back to this project at home. I was very excited to get home and make another block after stepping away. It's just like I said last week, it is a fantastic long-term project. I think I wouldn't want it to be the only thing on my needles, as it is repetitive. And, it's not, I do think that you get this freshness from picking new color combinations each time, but still it's a great, project to have in the background. And the only thing that makes me want to rush is that I am desperate to have it in wear, because I just think it'll be my favorite cardigan. I just love the way it looks. I think it's so, so, so beautiful. So yeah, that is my update on the heirloom quilt cardigan. I'm gonna put that away. Like I said, this yarn is just highly recommended. So if you are also about to get into winter knitting, I think this is a great yarn that if you haven't experimented with, you absolutely should. Okay, what else have I been knitting? Moving right along, I've also been knitting my husband's giant, boring sweater. It is the sweater that never ends. I'm like looking at it, but I'm gonna have to go grab it. So I'm gonna do that. Might as well show you while we're here. Let's not dwell on it because it's not that exciting, and I feel like I'm always talking about it because I have been knitting it for a hot second. I've made some progress on the sleeves. Honestly, the reason I haven't worked on it too much is, other than it's boring, is because I have been a little lazy to slip it onto barber cords and have him try it on. I'm not quite sure where to stop tapering the sleeve. As you can see, these are the places I have reduced so far. I cast on more stitches in the armpit than were necessary, just because I wanted to try to close up the gaps. I'm trying to I'm always pulling at those to close some gaps because I haven't woven in the ends there. But anyway, it's an uneventful sweater. It is non-superwash, but it doesn't have that lightness that non-superwash yarn has. I'm curious what it'll be like once I wet block it. I don't know. I will report back. I have not done anything blocking wise. And yeah, there's not much to say about that. I just wanted to show you in case you were interested. Goodbye. It's so funny. I was messaging with Caitlin, one of you, and she was like, it's funny, all the things you're making right now are for other people. And it's so true. And I accept the heirloom quilt cardigan. That is definitely for me. I'm not giving that one away, y'all, until my daughter's big enough to share it with me. And by that time, she'll probably find my taste appalling, and that's fine because I will still love it. But anyway, this is the half and half triangles rep that I was making her. And what I was saying, that Caitlin and I were saying to each other, was normally gift knitting is a tricky thing in terms of, in terms of a lot of things, but because everybody I'm knitting for right now are the dearest people to me, I am enjoying it thoroughly, even though I know these are not my things. I am really loving it. And even though I have a lot of things on the needles right now, I'm not finding myself overwhelmed or stressed out. And I think that's kind of just a frame of mind. I'm not rushed, even though I want to finish everything. I don't feel oh my God, I need to finish this. And so I think the more I knit, the more I just am I don't need to rush. There's that totally defeats the purpose of knitting, especially this, which is 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn. But I wanted to show you how beautifully this color combination is looking. It's been crumpled into a project bag, so it is crumpled. I could have given it like a little steam when I was steam blocking this, but I did not because I didn't think of it until this very moment. But it is coming along. I did work on this a decent amount in the mountains because it's mindless. You know, once I got the hang of how these two triangles were going to connect, it's like totally mindless. In fact, I like it better than the first side because on this side, I told you guys last time and many times before, I'm doing German short rows rather than wrap and turn. So every time you get to your wrapped stitch, you actually resolve it and then knit one more stitch, you turn, and then you wrap that stitch in and you go back. So you're resolving as you go. And what I like about that is it's very obvious to me where the wrapped stitch is, so I don't have to use a stitch marker. And I know that sounds like a small thing, but especially on these rows as they're very short and then they get longer on this side, taking out the stitch marker and wrapping the stitch and then putting it in and then turning it was becoming quite a pain. I wasn't enjoying that moment. So I was like, let me just try without a stitch marker. And I totally didn't need it. And it's just like made the process a lot smoother and a lot less fussy. So I am enjoying it. I love how these colors are playing together. And more importantly, she loves it because it is hers. And she was like, oh, will you be done in time for cozy season? And I was like, I can't promise you that, my darling, because it is a lot. Like, you are going every single stitch you are wrapping. So you're going out, wrap and turn, or German short row and back, and then one more, and then back, and one more. So it might not look enormous, but it's a lot of knitting. I mean, it is just an enormous amount of knitting, but I am loving it. It is a very fun background project. Again, I don't work on this every day. I definitely take it in my bag whenever I leave the house because it's a great on-the-go project. So that is that. I know several of you are working on your own, and I just love it. I think it's so fun to watch the colors interact. Yes, I shall put this over here. I'm starting to have like piles of yarn that are everywhere. Okay, now the project that I am probably most excited about and have knit the most since I last saw you is this baby blanket that I am making for my friend who is due in like a month. I think actually a month from today. Oh my gosh. Every time I think of her, all I think is how excited I am and how glad I am that I'm not pregnant. Just because like every time I see her, she's just like, oh, I'm so enormous. And it's like moving around is just, I mean, it's like a job in and of itself, and you don't sleep, and like, y'all know. Or you don't, and you just have seen and know how exhausting being pregnant is. But I am going to hold this up to show you. I've made so much progress. I hope it is coming across in the screen as beautiful as I think it is in person. I think there's possibly a risk that it looks very chaotic, but in person, I absolutely love its chaos. I think a baby would like it. I think a baby would find it interesting to look at. I think I was like here last week. I remember I was in the orange, and maybe I just started the red, but I've made a lot of progress. And when I was packing it to take to the mountains, I was trying to pack all the little various bits and bobs that I thought I would want to use next, but it was kind of hard to figure out because, like it wasn't like I have these brand new skeins that I had bought to fade together. It was just me using up odds and ends. And I I'm glad it happened the way it did, because I didn't pack this like hot pink that I have that I want to use, but I really actually like how it goes from this red to this kind of more earthy olives with neon pops. Because if I'd gone from this red to hot pink, I feel like then everything would have been like blendy, blendy, blendy. I like the defined change from this red to this olive tone. And then again from here to this pinker tone. And then I think I'm gonna go into, so right now I just this morning, where did it go? Here it is. Sorry, I'm kind of a mess. There's a lot of yarn everywhere. I am holding these two together right now because I ran out of this. I don't remember. This is a Hedgehog Fibers Rose Hip, I want to say maybe, but I didn't have very much, it was a joy to finish what I had. And then I thought I really wanted to throw in some mohair because it's so fun. And I just think it's such an unusual surprise, like that pop of texture adds such visual interest. So I thought these would be very pretty together. This is Cowgirl Blues in the colorway Chatterbox. I can't believe I remembered that. And then this is some mohair. What is this? I don't remember the brand. Lana Grosso? I don't know. I had gotten it, now it's making my nose itch. I apologize. I got it, I made my mom the Birds of a Feather shawl by Andrea Mowry, and I used like a cream as the fingering weight, and then for the mohair, I used this kind of wacky colorway because I liked the contrast. I thought it was very interesting. So this is the leftover from that, and I thought these would be very pretty together, and I love the way this, I've only done like 2 rows because I didn't have time this morning, but I love the way this is blending. I think it's blending well so that the texture, like the texture change, there's not like a big color change and texture change at the same time. Am I overthinking this? I don't know, but I'm loving it, so it doesn't matter. I love thinking about what color comes next and how the colors interact. I get so much joy from that. And I haven't knit anything like this in so long that I am enjoying it very much. I will again use that neon, it's not neon, it's like a really bright fuchsia, almost kind of like this in a variegated color. I think using that somewhere up here will balance out this bright red section. And I definitely want to add in some blue and green tones at the end to balance it out, because we don't know if this is a boy or a girl. And I am most certainly not like pink is for girl and blue is for boys, but I want it to have all the colors so that it's just fun chaos of colors. I don't want it to, I have to be mindful of the width to length ratio because I can't just keep going on and on, nor would I want to, but I want the colors to balance out is what I think I'm trying to say in a long-winded way. I want to make sure it doesn't look like I just ran out of yarn and stopped. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so I am really enjoying this. I didn't even tell you. Sorry. Hopefully I remember to put it on the screen since I'm just now telling you. But it is the Melting Marls Blanket, I think that's what it's called, by Stephen West. It is a chevron kind of like wave pattern, but I think what makes it so unique is that there are 3 different wave chevron patterns within it. So you have this first one where you've got those big eyelets. Then you have the second one where you kind of have like a flat top right here where it's like this, and then it kind of like, it's more angular. And then my favorite is this section with these kind of softer curves of eyelets. I think that part is so beautiful. And it was my favorite section to knit because the repeats are mindless. Like, and I love more mindless knitting when the yarn is variegated like this, because you can just like enjoy watching it unfold. I'm back to the top on this repeat, and I have to say, I don't know why I keep getting off. Like, there are 10 stitches between this. There's a double yarn over here, then there's 10 stitches, and then you do a knit two together and another reduction, and then it's like 10 more, and then, you know, you get what I'm saying. And I keep either having one too few or one too many, and it's really annoying me. So I'm very excited to be done with this section and move on to the next one, because I keep, like, it's ruining the flow for me, because I can tell where the double yarn over should be, so I shouldn't have to count in my head, but I'm having to count in my head because I'm like unsure that I have the right number each time. And I am a big believer in Stephen West's, you know, philosophy of just making it work. Like, if I have too little, I add one. If I have too many, I reduce it out. But it's annoying. You know, I don't want to have to be worrying about that. And I can't figure out why that keeps happening only on that section. It's bizarre. I'm sorry, but my earbud, these stupid earbud mics, as I talk, they move around and they bother my ears. So I'm always like fussing because it hurts. The solution should be getting a proper microphone situation, but being the technological caveman that I am, I just continue to suffer through this arrangement. You don't need to know any of this, do you? But I just wanted to tell you why I was like bothering with it. Anyway, that is that. I can't believe, like, I only realized how much I've worked on this as I remembered like where I ended last week. So I really have gone through a lot. I love the way this tonal section here looks. If I had had more of it, I would have kept going, but I used it all up. I don't remember the colors. I think this is macaroon, and this is, I don't know, DRK. I don't know. I've had these colors for so long, the names are not super fresh in my mind. I was gonna say, what I love about this blanket is it's so versatile to make it your own. You could hold more than just two fingering weight strands together and use up worsted weight or DK. You could make it solid. And I think if you made it solid in colors you loved, or even in one color, you would really see the texture. I mean, I think because this yarn is so busy, the texture kind of, it doesn't get lost, because I do think you can still see it, but it doesn't shine through as much. Like, you absolutely could make this with no variegation and in yarn color, and it would be absolutely beautiful. It would just have a totally different look. So I love pieces like this, and I think Stephen West particularly is really good at putting out patterns that give you a lot of options to use up what you have, and not use up what you have. That sounded like it's not an absolute joy to have yarn, but enjoy the yarn you already have and kind of play with it. And when we use what we have, I think you are forced into some constraints that make you kind of creative. Like, I would not have chosen this fade, but I love the way it's coming together, because my constraint was I'm not gonna buy any more yarn to use in this. And anyway, I'm going on, but it's because I love it and I've loved making it, and I can't wait to give it to her and the baby. So anyway, here we are. We shall see what comes next. I've got so many fun colors coming down the pipeline in this blanket. So you shall see next week. And I think that is the end of the knitting that I have to show you. I'm sorry I don't have any brand new cast-ons, but you know, we can't just keep casting on. And when I tape once a week, I'm definitely not going to have a cast-on every week, a new cast-on, that is. I do have two patterns that I am obsessed with that I thought I should share in case you needed some pattern inspiration. A lot of times at night when I'm too tired to knit, but I'm still thinking about yarn and I'm lying in bed, like about to go to sleep, I have the bad habit, I should say, of looking at Ravelry on my iPad because, I say bad habit because they say, looking at a screen makes it hard to go to sleep. I have not found that, so I do it anyway. But I'll just keep looking at the Ravelry project pages of projects that I'm obsessed with. It lets me feel like I'm participating without caving to the desire to cast on. Because as you can see, the last thing in the world I need is another cast on. But maybe you need a cast on. So I'm going to tell you two projects I'm obsessed with right now that are very different from each other. And perhaps one of them will go in your queue, or maybe even both, because I think they're so different. And I was just laughing at myself, thinking like they both appeal to me so much. But I think we all have like different parts of ourselves that one part of you might be drawn to like really bright, colorful, crazy looking things. And then another part of you is drawn to like more subdued, elegant things. And that's awesome. Like it's so fun to be able to kind of let both your playful side and maybe your more subdued side, come out to play in your knitting. So anyway, without going on anymore, here's the first one. It is the Kala shawl. I almost mixed the name with her name. The Kala shawl by Natasha Hornsby, Moonstruck Knits, I want to say. I think that's right. I love this shawl. I mean, I could just wax poetic about this shawl. I think it's just a work of art. I think a lot of times shawls like this where there's like a floral motif, whether it's color work or lace or whatever, it's like very impressionistic. Like it looks like a version of that thing, a beautiful version of that thing. But this is a very rare occasion where I think the knitting actually looks like the thing. So like if you think about the Pressed Flowers shawl by Savory Knits, I can't remember. I'm sorry. I'll put it up. But this was also a very popular shawl, and now sweater and cardigan and cowl and socks, I think she even, and maybe a hat recently. It's a whole series. I love this shawl, but it's obviously a knit impression of Pressed Flowers. It doesn't give the actual appearance of Pressed Flowers to me. The Kala shawl, the Kala flower, Kala lilies, like they really like capture the Kala lily. I just can't imagine how that is accomplished through knitting. And I find it to be so impactful. I'm obsessed and in love, and I also am generally in love with heavier weight shawls. I know you guys, if you watch this channel, know that I fell in love with heavier weight shawls at a very specific moment when I made the Golden Hour shawl by Andrea Mowry with some small farm alpaca yarn that I had purchased at an alpaca festival. And it's 100% my favorite shawl I've ever made. It's just so precious to me. And I never thought I would like heavier weight shawls. I always had been making fingering weight shawls just because I thought a heavier shawl would be more like a blanket and it would be uncomfortable. And much to my surprise, it's actually the shawl I reach for so much because it's cozy and warm, and it just makes you feel like you're just wrapped in love. I'm telling you, it leaves me speechless. So I'm always on the hunt for heavier weight shawls, DK or worsted. There's a couple that I've shared that I love by, oh gosh, the name is just gonna fly right out of my mind. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? She's like one of my favorite designers. I'm sorry. It's a lot of words in my head, a lot of designers, and all I can think of right now is Natasha Hornsby. And it's Hornby, not Hornsby. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I don't remember her name right now. Isabel Kramer. Oh my God. Apologies. Isabel Kramer has a couple of heavier weight shawls that are monochromatic that I absolutely love. And this Natasha Hornby shawl is just up there at that level. So yeah, if you, I'm going to insert this picture, and I think it says a lot. She herself has this picture up on her, on the project page. And the fact that it's a black and white picture and it's still so impactful just shows you how much the texture of this shawl shines. Like the actual knitting doesn't need to be in color to just be absolutely breathtaking. I think it would be gorgeous in a darker color. I saw some in like a deep charcoal, but I think when it's lighter, you can see the color really shine through. I have no idea what color I would make it in. I think it would be beautiful and feminine in like a shell pink or an ivory, or earthier, like olive or mustard color tones would be beautiful. I just think this could be your favorite shawl. It is 100% on my list. I don't think I have the yarn. I can't think of like a shawl quantity of DK weight yarn. A lot of people in the projects made it out of fingering weight because they thought it would be too big and heavy in DK. I would not do that. Like I said, not only do I like the feel, but I really liked the look of the DK. I think that those calla lily motifs really look sturdy and like plump in a non-superwash DK. I would definitely do it in non-superwash because I think it would hold that structure better. Similar to color work, the structure would be very lovely. So anyway, I will stop going on and on about it, but I love this shawl. I know there's a couple of podcasters over the last few years that have knit this shawl. It's not new, but I'm just particularly in love with it right now. The second and last pattern that was on my radar lately that I've just been feeling very drawn to. Maybe it's because I've been doing color work, and you guys know, if you've watched me struggle through the beginning of the heirloom quilt cardigan, dealing with the floats was quite an accomplishment. And so I'm no longer intimidated by longer floats. And this pattern definitely would have to have some longer carries. It is it's by Caitlin Hunter, the queen of color work. The sweater is called Neigh, as in a horse, Neigh. This is like the polar opposite of the calla shawl to me. It's silly and playful and bold, and like, I think the calla shawl, you have to kind of lean in. You might even not notice it at first, but this Neigh sweater to me is just like a smack upside the head. It's like, it would be a head turner. I would make it in a very oversized silhouette because I think it would be so fun to wear with leggings in the winter. I love the example of one of the knitters that posted it, that she added a little unicorn horn on one of the horses. I thought that was absolutely an adorable, playful touch. I would totally do that. I love the sleeves. The motif on the sleeves is so perfect. Like, I just think she edited this sweater so well. Like, it would have been so easy to go overboard and add too much on the sleeves or too little on the sleeves, and then it would look kind of imbalanced. Like, it could have been out of balance, imbalanced. I think it's unbalanced. I think if she hadn't done anything on the sleeves with the big graphic horses on the lower half of the torso, it would have looked kind of off, and I'm not sure you would know why. But I think she's a brilliant designer, and these are the small details that really, to me, matter now as a knitter. Like, I think that it's easy to go overboard and overdo as a knitter, just throw everything at it that you can do. But like that perfect balance of curating the details, it takes a really nice eye. And I think Caitlin Hunter has that eye. I love this sweater. The one I remember I saw it on Instagram before she published it. I'll show a picture right here. It's like I think it's Farmer Starter Fibers, and it's like a very light peach with a deep purple fuchsia in the horses, and I loved that. I thought it was like a bold and unusual color combination for a sweater like this. Like I think my instinct would be to use neutral colors, but the like use of like an unexpected feminine color, just I don't know, it was just so perfect. I love this sweater. It's in contention. Both of these are in contention for my birthday knit. Last year, I made a birthday sweater for myself, and I love that idea. It was definitely not my idea. It was from Amy Palco. I guess she knits herself a birthday sweater every year, and I love that idea. So last year, I knit. Oh, I forgot what it's called. The Fade and Lace Boxy by Joji Locatelli. And then these two are definitely, even though the first one is not a sweater, those two are contenders for my birthday piece. I don't know what I'll be feeling like. Like I like the idea because, like, for instance, it's October now, end of October, my birthday's in March. And by the sweater and yarn I picked, I can tell like what mood I was in, like what frame of mind I was in. And I like that marker of like remembering what life felt like at that moment for you that year. I just think it's a really nice way to kind of remember the mood rather than a picture or anything. Like the mood that I was in is captured by the knit and the yarn I picked. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know. We'll see what I feel like in January when I decide what to make. Will I feel more like crazy and playful and make something like the Ney sweater, or like more subdued and elegant one, like, you know, drawn to that? I don't know. So we will see. But those are two that I wanted to share with you because I think they're not brand new. They're not like they just came out, but they are just so nice for this time of year. They're both DK weight, which means they would knit up quicker. You know, fingering weight, like we all know, it's just more of a commitment. All right, guys, that is all the knitting chit chat I have. Oh boy, it's 47 minutes. That's a long time. I will pivot away from that to life in general. I'm like trying to think what I have time to share at this exact moment. Why don't I just share what book I'm reading? Because I'm enjoying it so very much. I think I might have like taken a break. I'm trying to think. I told you I read what's it called? Thicker Than Water. Why did I say Pieces of Me? That doesn't sound right. Is that someone else's memoir? Anyway, this is like my stream of consciousness thought just coming out of my mouth. Anyway, I had finished the Kerry Washington memoir that I was telling you about. And I liked it, didn't love it, like I shared last time, but I had shared with you guys maybe a month ago now, or a couple weeks ago at least, that I really wanted to read the new Zadie Smith book called The Fraud, but I was intimidated because I was scared. She is just such a heavyweight in terms of she is literary. This is not like light reading. And I was very intimidated. Like I'll be honest, I was scared. I was not smart enough for it to land. For instance, Clara and the Sun, Kazuo Ishiguro, I believe, was the author, and that I would put him in the same category as like heavyweight, and that book just didn't land with me, and I hate it when that happens, right? It leaves you feeling dumb. It leaves you feeling like you wasted money and time. Did I finish it? I don't know if I finished it. So I was feeling the same way about this book, but I decided to be brave. Like, what? Okay, so you feel dumb for a minute. Like, who cares? That's why I'm sharing that I felt dumb, because even if you love reading and you're a big reader, like, not everything lands with you. So I thought, I'm just going to give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? So, and I also had heard her interviewed a couple of times, and I just think she is brilliant. And I love that she narrated it herself. And I had heard the sample, and it was incredibly narrated. Like, you guys, writing a book is one talent, narrating a book is another talent, and the fact that she could do both so spectacularly it's mind-blowing. Like, this book has many different characters, and each character has a very different way of speaking and different accents. The main character, the narrator, is Scottish, and she does her accent so beautifully. Now, I am a clunky Texan with like cowboy boots flying out of my mouth, so I don't know if it's an accurate Scottish accent, but it is a very fun accent to listen to. It doesn't strike the ear as false. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you're not, for instance, I can tell someone who's really Texan from someone who's trying to say y'all for affect. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell if something strikes the ear as true. Just like I can tell if someone has had like facial tweaks. Like, the eye can tell, and so can the ear. Anyway, her accents are so good. And there's one character who is absolutely unintentionally hysterical. Like, she's just silly, and not silly, but you can tell the author is making fun of this person, and it's laugh out loud. And I don't know if I would have laughed out loud, like literally laughed out loud, if it weren't for Zadie Smith herself delivering those lines in a very specific British accent that I don't know the name of that, like that type of accent, but it's hysterical. I'm really enjoying it. I hesitate to recommend it as vehemently as I've recommended some books in the past, because I have found that I have to pay very, very close attention. It's not background story, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm cooking dinner or emptying the dishwasher or something like that, it's not my first choice, because I really do need to pay attention to the words, because the story moves quickly and the dialogue is like sparky, and you would miss so much if you were kind of letting it just be background noise. So I do think I end up rewinding it a lot. The chapters are very, very short. So sometimes I'm like, I just have to listen to that whole chapter again, because I don't think I absorbed everything as I needed to or wanted to. So again, it's kind of like knitting, where if you're okay slowing down, and like the book is like 13 hours, I think, so not super long. If you're okay slowing down and letting it be longer, then I think you're going to enjoy it. If you're like, it would really bother me to have to reread this paragraph, then maybe it's not the book for you. Or maybe you're quicker than me and you wouldn't have to rewind. Just the way the writing is, it's set in the 1800s, so it's not like the way we talk now. So I think that's one of the reasons I have to kind of really listen. So anyway, I think it is brilliant and so entertaining to read, and I'm enjoying it through and through. And so that tells you, like, sometimes the risks we take on knitting or books or anything, sometimes you're kind of like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Sometimes it's going to turn out great. Sometimes it's going to turn out meh, and you might have wasted some time and money, but such is life. Everything is not a safe bet, unfortunately. Okay, I have a lot more to say, but I'm too tired, and my throat is like my voice is tired. So I'm going to stop here. Also, we've been together for an hour, and to venture forth even further would be taking advantage of your precious time, so I shall not do that. I will leave you here on this Friday afternoon. I am so happy it's the weekend. I hope you are too, if this is when you're watching it. I hope you're knitting and enjoying some coziness, taking care of yourself, and just being well wherever you are. I will be back in your feed next week. Enjoy your weekend. Bye, guys.